Hi, everybody. Welcome again. I've got another fantastic story for you. This is quite a crazy story. It was a night when I was attacked in my sleep by a ghost, and I didn't realize what it was at the time. And yeah, so I'd like to share it with you because it has led me down part of the um, pathway of holistic seed has been energy clearing and assisting trapped souls on the earth plane to transition into onto their journey if they've been stuck for a while, and often that's what it is. And yeah, so I thought I'd share this story. It happened last year, and I was visiting my sister. And the night before I had to go home, we stayed at her friend's house because she lived quite close to the airport. And they were doing, my sister and her friend decided they would do some meditation and asked if I wanted to join. I was like, no, it's fine. Um, but I did go, when I went to bed, I laid down and I started doing some breathing circles. And what I went into at the time was, as I breathed in, I was allowing the energy to rise further than the top of my head. And as I breathed out, I allowed the energy to go down to my feet. So I was doing this circular breathing with the energy moving around my body, really opening myself up. And what occurred was I did that for a fair bit of time, but because it was before sleep, so I was kind of in that stage between waking and sleeping. And I must have fallen asleep, but the next thing that I knew, there was this heavy presence, like across, it felt like it was here, across my mouth and on my chest. And it was it was kind of holding me down. And so it took a minute to realize what was going on, that I actually had something forcing me down, forcing my mouth over my mouth. And it had a dark color to it, like it was this is all happening in my mind's eye as well. So it had a dark feel, dark color. And so I pushed it with huge force down to the end of the bed. And then it changed its form, and it was coming at me like from the base of the bed, like a wolf. So it had its mouth open. It was like, coming at me. And as it was kind of in midair, I've kind of thrown it out to the side. There was a window in the bedroom, and I threw it outside of the window. And then I was so annoyed. I started telling it off. How dare you do that to me in how dare you come into my space and attack me in the middle of the night? And it just stayed out there for a little while. And I was quite worked up about all this. Like, it was really quite scary. And I was trying to figure out, oh my God, where did that come from? What even was that? And I was thinking, oh, maybe there was some unfinished business between me and my sister, or um, I was worried that maybe her friend didn't want me in the house or something. Anyway, I did protection. So I went through the usual protections that I know of, like surrounding myself in the white light bubble, filling myself up with source light. And then I ended up going back to sleep. But in the middle of the sleep, the thing appeared again next to the bed, but this time it was in like a black Labrador dog form. And it was sitting at the edge of the bed, and it was waiting for me to give it a pat on the head. And so I patted it on the head, and went back to sleep, and that was the experience. So the sensation was, there's that movie Fantastic Beasts, and there's in that movie there's a thing called an obscurial, and it's like this black, it's like a black scribble that's constantly moving, but in this really erratic shape. And that was the type of energy that I was feeling in that night. So it was it's really crazy. So anyway, I woke up the next morning and I said to my sister, I was like, you would not believe what happened to me last night. And I told her the whole story, and she was like, oh, wait there, like we've got to get my friend in to hear the story. So she came in and I told her the story. And then they told me that there's been a ghost in their house ever since they had bought the house, which was, years before they'd had their kids had grown up in the house, and it had never actually attacked anyone. I think generally they would just feel, say, a presence in a chair, say, or if they were at the fridge, they might feel a presence standing behind them. She said that one person had heard like screaming type, a scream when they'd gone in the house at not one night when there was no one home. I think they were staying in their house for a night, and they ended up like hearing a screaming sound. So yeah, it was really bizarre. Anyway, yeah, it hadn't ever actually attacked anyone in the nighttime. So I don't know what happened there, but it was really freaky, and I didn't actually want to go back. It did unnerve me a lot. I mean, I have had experience with ghosts before, but they were just like a white outline of, say, a little girl sitting on the end of my bed. When I lived in one house that we'd built on the land, and it was like where we built that small house, there was a thoroughfare must have been in old times, because the little girl had the little pinafore dress, the early Australian colonial type clothes on. And there was also people walking across the corner of my house. Like it was like she'd stopped for a little rest on the edge of my bed, but they were all walking. All these people were walking like back from town or something, walking home. But yeah, they were just kind of not interacting, but this one was really quite full on. So anyway, I I kind of like just filed it away for a little while, and then I started my soul realignment course, and I was learning how to assist earthbound souls to move on in their transition. And because I knew there was a ghost in this lady's house, I asked if I could, practice moving on this soul from her house, because they felt this presence all the time, and it did have a chaotic energy, and it was a great experience for me to do that. And afterwards, I often wonder if it attacked me because it might have known that I was going to disrupt it's the way it lived. So it was already attached to the property itself. When I did some the property clearing, it turned out that it was a soul who had died in the house as a child. It was um, a a child who died during the childbirth process, and had just stayed in the house, and eventually began drawing energy from the property itself. And often you'll get people move into that you'll draw a vibrational match. So if there was a slightly chaotic energy or some kind of trauma that you might have held within your subconsciousness, that could draw you to that same energy. So I did the clearing on the house, and it was one of the first ones I'd ever done, which was really exciting because I was like, oh, this is cool. Like I can actually see if it's going to work. And it did work for probably, it was 3 or 4 months that they had no incidences. There was no feeling of the ghost being there, the presence being there. But I had actually missed one of the portalways where they can come in and out. So what I did do was I got a message from the lady who owns the house, and she was like, it's back. I've been sitting in the lounge room. I am totally freaked out. It really brings a sense of it reduces the energy, it depresses the energy, so you feel more negative feelings. You can feel more despair, despondency. You can even terror or anxiety. So it can bring up feelings that are a vibrational match to the spirit that's been trapped there. And so I went back in and to the reading of the property and found that the ghost had made its way back. It had taken all this time, but it had also brought another spirit with it. So there was now two in there. So we redid the clearing, and I found the place that I'd missed, the portalway, the doorway. There was an energetic doorway still open. And so, yeah, and then re-cleared, allowed those two spirits to move on their journey, and they were able to have harmony in their house. And now there was no disruptions at all after that. So it was just a fantastic way of acknowledging what was able to happen. That I was able to assist that soul who was trapped there to move on. And I've done a lot of these clearings now, and always I have found that these are just souls of people that have either not realized that they've passed over and are trapped there, or they have unfinished business and will want to stay and stay with what they know. They're not ready to let go of that physical existence. And when they are here, they need to draw upon energy from somewhere because they're not generating their own energy. So they often will attach to a person in the house. Generally, it would be a family member, but over time, they can, switch family members or people, or they might then draw to the energy of the property itself. Often if they've been in experiences where they may have had addictions or something in that life they've lived, and they might congregate to an area where there's physical people enjoying that same addiction. And so that same energy will draw that spirit to them until they have the capacity to move on. And with the energetic property clearing that I do in my business, is that is what allows them to move on. It just gives them some assistance to continue on their journey, and some guidance to that they're not stuck there forever, which they could be if you don't kind of address them. So yeah, I thought I'd share that experience. It was scary at the time, but looking back, it was a wonderful experience for me. Just be, it's very common for things to come into your space. It's a lot of ways that if you're a vulnerable person, if you're a very giving person, often you may attract spirits that can sustain themselves on your giving energy, on your generosity. And so it may feel depleted, or yeah, it's never usually like a negative intention of the spirit. They're just, generally speaking, they're just trapped there. They haven't realized, they haven't crossed over fully and continued on their journey. But they just need a little bit of assistance and compassion. And a lot of people they like having their one of their close relatives may have passed away, and they might be staying with them, either just to assist them in the grieving process, or to just not ready to leave them. And so, and just it's like wanting to make sure that people are going to be okay. And you can also pick them up in other buildings. So if you go through a situation where there might be, say, something happen where you go into a grief process, or depression, sadness, or anger, any of those very strong feelings that you're in there for a fairly long time, you can draw types of spirits that connect in with that energy. So yeah, thank you for listening to my lovely ghost story. And I'll see you soon. Bye.